Hello, chat. Hi, everybody. Yes. Now, Nick is not coming on the record with me, but we're going to see Nick's words on the record. Hope everybody is doing great. Sean is lame. Well, yeah, no shit. Like, welcome to the party. You must be new. Um, just saying there. Like, how is everybody doing today? So, yeah, this is a little interesting. And I will say that it's, God bless Minnesota Public Records. If you guys aren't aware of that person, they are doing God's work over on the farms. Every time something goes down, we got some fresh new singles. And I mean, this is a certified hood. This is a certified hood hit right here, guys. This is some good stuff. Oh, I mean, it is. It truly is. And I've been I read this last night when it came out, and I couldn't believe some of the things I saw in it. I really couldn't. I really couldn't. And we're gonna go over it. We're gonna go over all of it. And there's just so much of this that you don't have to do. That could have been done differently. It was just so easily done. But as we learned throughout this entire situation, that's not one of the speeds of one of the people we're dealing with. That's not one of the speeds they operate on. So where do we start? Well, guys, we are still in the middle of the entire Rekieta saga. The RQ, you might call it, as I think PPP and Worski so eloquently put it. I think that's a great way to look at it. The RQ. And from here, we are going to start with the transcript of the emergency hearing that was held. And what was this hearing? Well, it was a pretty simple hearing. And this was a protective care hearing. Now, they call it different things in different states and different places. Here in Ohio, they probably call it a shelter care hearing. And that's because the children were taken from their home. The Rekieta kids were taken from their home, well, because it wasn't heckin' safe. And I think we can all agree, yeah, something was up and it wasn't the best. Now, obviously, there's some disagreements as to what was going on there and what actually occurred. And, the truth will really come out later. Well, we're going to get to some of that truth that we've been told not to believe your lying eyes. Yeah, I'm cleaning coke out of my hair. Yes. Yeah, so we're going to turn this crack house into a crack home. We're going to get there. All right, guys. So here we go. We're not going to wait around too long. We got a whole band of body. We got a whole band here. What happened to the body cams being released? They're still in the process. They're still in the process of being released. And yes, Nate, you're asking where I found this. This was in the Rekieta thread by a user there, Minnesota Public Records. Post these. So it's not from me. I didn't do any digging. This was provided. And we're going to kind of break it down from there. So here we go. Did you get some court listener? No. Monkey One says, "What is your thoughts about Nick's body cam statements?" I mean, here's the deal. I maybe Nick is right, but I'm just gonna say it like this: whether it's relationship advice, use of illicit substances, theocracy and theology advice, or legal advice, Nick is not generally probably the person you want to go to for any of those. Maybe he's right, but I'm not trusting it. That's all I can say there. That's all I can say there. That's all I can say there. So let's get to this. I mean, and I will say, chat, when I broke this down earlier, This is like we're getting to like Boogie 2988 levels of gall. And I say that seriously. It's getting there. It's getting there. Lois says, I think Nick is releasing these. He's doing a gay op. Well, this is a gay op, and all he's doing is raking himself in the face. So this is not how you're supposed to do it. So here we go. Chat. Now, I did a lot of redaction on this, and that's just mainly because the case numbers in there, some of the names of the kids are in here. I don't, I'm trying to keep them out of this because, Nick's providing the entertainment on his own. So let's start with it. Let's start with it here and let's get into it. Now, as we've learned and as I've had to take the L on, apparently in Minnesota, you can just go up to computers and get all this shit printed off, which is interesting. So this is a transcript, guys, and this is actually a very normal format of a transcript. It's pretty much like if you've been on my channel before, you've seen these a million times, or if you've been anywhere, you've seen this a million times. I do this all the time in my my daily proceedings. I got transcripts. I have like one or two sitting here on my desk right now, and the way it works is it tells you what the case is, what's going on. And because of children, it's called in the matter of, or it's say in Ray, Rekieta children, and I list them out. But anyways, it says Kayla Rekieta and Nicholas Rekieta as the parents. And it says where they did it at, and it was at the Candioi County Courthouse in Wilmar, Minnesota on the 28th day of May. Now remember, May 28th, if we go back and roll back the clock to that crazy whirlwind of time, remember, Nick got arrested, and they got arrested on the 23rd. They had the hearing on the 24th. They got cut loose. And then Saturday, Sunday, and then the 27th was Monday, Memorial Day. So there was no court. The 28th was the first available day. So that's why there's a little bit of a break in there. And they had a hearing beginning at 4:16 p.m., which I was going to say there's magistrates where I'm at are not happy if we're starting something at 4:16 in the afternoon. So the petitioner, and that's the state, was through attorney Kristen Pierce, and she's the prosecutor that's handling all Nick's stuff. And then Kayla appeared along with her attorney, and Nick appeared along with an attorney of his own. And we'll get to why. Well, we'll get to that. Also, one of Nick's children appeared. Under Minnesota law, children over the age of 10 have the right to have counsel, and they have the right to be at the hearings. So one of the children was there. The guardian ad litem was there. Guardian ad litem is a third party who they provide the court an opinion on what's in the best interest of the child. Because what the parents may want, what children's services may want, may not agree, and they may be completely different. And this person gives an impartial, a third way. Also present was Alicia Sweep, the social worker with the Candioi County Human Services, the foster parents, and the paternal grandparents. So we'll explain who the foster parents are. And I had a suspicion who they were, and this confirms it pretty much. So the way this starts, it says, whereupon the following proceedings were duly had. And guys, I'm sorry, this is how the person brought him into the system and scanned them all in. This is the best we're going to get. So the court says we're going to start the hearing, and then they say in the matter of, and they say, they ask Kayla who you are. They ask Nick, you're there here too. They court file number. The guardian ad litem's there. Alicia Sweep's there. The prosecutor's there. The kids, they say, you're here. Yep, I'm here. The maternal grandparents are here. The paternal grandparents are here. Now, it appears Kayla's mom and stepdad I don't really understand their what anyway, the maternal grandparents were here, and they're the ones where the children are residing currently. They live in the area. Kayla's family lives nearby. So, yeah. So the children were placed in emergency protective care following the execution of a search warrant and the arrest leading to an order. And that order led to today's hearing. And that's a very common way this works. The police will raid a home and there's drugs in the house, or if the police raid a home and there's violence. So children are being neglected, something happens, and the parents are out of the home and the kids have nowhere to go. Well, there's an emergency hearing. We've got to do something about it. We've got to do something about it pretty damn quick. We've got to go right meow. So from there, they then say that they're using this as a springboard. And you see that mentioning there that there's an admit or deny. And that is traditionally, in a lot of other places, might be considered an adjudicatory hearing. Because in cases involving welfare of children and in juvenile court, there is no guilty, not guilty. You admit to allegations or you deny allegations. And allegations are found to be true or not true. So that's why you're not seeing guilty, not guilty. And they bring up that there's a issue that because the children are ages of 10 or older, and there's 2 siblings who are at least the age of 10, and that's for a McKenna advisory. And that's a unique thing to the Minnesota, and that's under a law. So that's why it's called a McKenna advisory. Let me keep going here. And then you hear that at the bottom, the magistrate brings up, are any of the 5 children eligible for membership in a Native American tribe? Now, that's very important. It's very, very important. We have to address that because under federal law, and it's not just because in Minnesota they have Indian tribes, but it's under federal law. It's called the Indian Child Welfare Act, ICWA. This happens here in Ohio too. And you're thinking, well, nobody in Ohio, there's no Indian tribes in Ohio. You're right. But somebody from an Indian tribe could be in Ohio. And a child who has enrolled in a tribe could be in Ohio. And the Indian Child Welfare Act, if that does happen, the tribe has the ability and they have the right to come take that child back. Because throughout history, kids were stripped out of homes and parents who were natives, the kids were shoved into foster care and they had family available. The family was of the tribe and they kind of got fucked over on that routinely. So under federal law, every single children's services case in America has to address that. Every single one. So that's why you see it there. And they just say, yeah, these kids are not applicable. They're not members of any tribe. So everybody says, nope, nope, nope. And they take it. So we get through that. We move on. There's a prima facie showing that there's a juvenile protection matter does exist and all the kids are subject to it. That the petition alleges that the children's health, safety, or welfare would be endangered if they went home and that temporary custody is placed with the Candioi County Children's Services. And that's normal. That's 100% normal. The complaint will lay out allegations that'll be pretty succinct. Now, in this situation, we already know what happened. There was a search warrant that was executed, and that search warrant, that language is basically going to mirror the narratives from the police. We received information the kids were not being cared for. There was drug use in the homes. We went along with the police when they conducted the raid, and we found the children in a home where there was drug use, and it was not a safe environment for children, safe and healthy. Now, this issue here about continuing the matter up to 10 days, I don't really understand that. I don't know Minnesota law there, but they talk about that they want to combine some of these hearings. And the judge says, okay, we're going to move along there. And they're continuing things out. The agency says, the Children's Service says, we don't care as long as we remain the ones in charge of the children. As long as they're in our protective care, we don't care how long this takes. And that's a fair, they're going to say, yeah, whatever, take your time. You're just not getting the kids right away. And then they ask the guardian ad litem. She's like, I don't care. I'm fine with whatever the children remain in care. And then they ask the guardian, is it the best interest of the kids to remain in protective care? And she says yes. So the court will allow them to be continued. The case is continued, and they will remain in an out of home placement. And that just means they're somewhere else but their parents' house. In this case, grandma and grandpa's. Now, the guardian also says that the kids are older and they should have some access to their parents with Zoom calls and things like that. And then the court comes and we got to go like all the way, read over, and then come back over. It's like a typewriter. Shing. Um, there's an issue there. And the issue then is visitation. And the court comes down to, can the parents supervise visitation and contact for the children? Is there an objection? And this is where it gets interesting, guys. This is the good stuff. The state says in the prosecutor's office, like, yeah, we got a big problem. And the court says, well, what's your issue? Well, they're requesting in the prosecutor's office and the agency, the Children's Services, requesting that supervised visitation is done at a third-party location, Harmony Visitation Center. And that's going to be a place where they have monitors and those people can sit there and observe. And they don't sit there at the table with you, but they walk around the rooms and they make sure everything's going well. And that's important because the court says, why can't they do it? And you see right here, it says, all right, well, why can't they supervise visitation? And she said that there's a concern because both sets of grandparents were in the home the week before the removal. Yes, you're reading that right. Both grandparents were at home the week before the removal. Now, I'm going to say a couple. I'm going to go on, frankly, I don't care. I'm going to say it. I'm going to give, Papa Rekieta and Mima Rekieta the benefit of the doubt here. And then Kayla's, whatever they call her parents, Kayla's parents too. I'm going to give them the benefits of the doubt here. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't have experience of dealing with people or are familiar enough to encounter people who are in the middle of addiction and are just backsliding down into the depths of rock bottom. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt they don't know that. Because I kind of have to right now. There's another option that like they were like looking around and they're like, oh my God, this is awful. And then they were like, hey, can you have Kayla's sister report them to the agency? Maybe that happened. I don't think that happened. Do I think they just didn't know what was happening? Like that's a realistic possibility. Another realistic possibility is to just in denial. That's no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Now I know there's the one that a lot of people like. And this is where I get a lot of people on farms are probably hoping this is what happened, just so they can be, they can hate Nick more. But the idea that, Nick's parents come over and his dad puts his like arm propped up on a doorway and Nick's sitting there like smoking coke. And it's just in the background, it's like, and the cat's in the cradle of the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. I don't think that happened. I don't think they have. He's like, honey, come look. He's doing it. It's so cute. We're so proud of him. No, I don't think that happened. I honestly think the grandparents just like, they're kind of just falling apart a little bit. I don't know if they really realized what was going on there. And that's a concern for the state because if you didn't realize these guys were in the middle of addiction with the drinking and the weird people coming around and the drug use, well, you can't be the one supervising Nick and Kayla coming around the kids because if you didn't know that was happening before, you won't know what's happening now. So That's why they're saying they want someone who's more versed in identifying those symptoms to be supervising the visits. And also, they want vetting, but also educational protocols. So that way they can sit them down and say, listen, guys, here's what people who are using do. Here's how they're going to act. If they're acting all skittish, if their, pupils look like they get so pinpointed, they look like they're going to implode like a black hole. All the different things that may happen there, just so that way they can properly protect and care for the grandkids. But that's where they went with that. Although I can only imagine in the week before the removal, I'm betting the house was, you know, probably if I don't think it was like spick and span, and then all of a sudden in a week it just went looking like a Haitian refugee camp. I'm assuming it was pretty bad and it was a mess. But remember, being messy alone is not a problem. I've been in some houses before that are absolutely disgusting, dealing like children's services cases. But it's not against the law to, be messy, to be dirty, to like have a place where you're like, I'm not sitting on the couches, and also I don't want to sit on the floor. So I'm gonna like sit on the windowsill. I mean, that happens. But those are not illegal. Hold on, guys, 1 second. Hold on here, chat. So, and that's where everybody's like, we're gonna keep using Harmony. And they're gonna use Visitation Center. And they say that eventually, maybe we'll change this and we'll go to a less restrictive environment. Okay, cool. And the court says, well, for right now, we're going to do that. Um, and then once again, Miss Barber, the guardian, says that, um, we do have older children. The youngest is 6, but we have teenagers. And we need to get these visitations rolling. And that's true. The kids need to see their parents. Also, the parents need to see their kids. Like, the ultimate goal is reunification. So we need to start working on that ASAP. And that stuff takes a little bit of time. It's not always easy. And even in a place like where they live, where there's like nobody around, those resources are not just for them. Like, Children's Services has a million cases. So there's going to be a bunch of those. There's also going to be domestic relation situations where they're going to be using the visitation center. There's going to be a lot of things set up for that. So they've got to get on it right now, because scheduling stuff, it might be a week or two before that even gets rolling. So, and these all require signed releases, and the attorneys are saying, well, let's get the releases prepared, we'll get everything ready to go. And then they bring up that and they ask a question, and this is Nick's attorney saying that, Nick says that the current foster care providers are licensed, they've been licensed for 30 years. And then Nick says, and this is where, once again, you have an attorney sitting there with you. This is where you need to look at your attorney, guys. If you have things you need to say, you need to look at your attorney and go, hey, here's things I need you to say. Here, can you correct that information? It's so easy to do it that way. Don't jump up and start talking. Although this part right here isn't a big deal. He says, I don't believe they've currently been licensed, but they've been licensed foster care providers for quite some time, over 30 years, I believe. And this is Kayla's parents. They have plenty of experience dealing with kids. And they have plenty of experience facilitating visitation of children, not only of relatives, but of foreign placements. So foreign placements are, people that are completely not related at all. That part, you know what? Normally, I'd still say shut the fuck up, but okay, that part, let's just draw a big line right there. Everything north of that line, cool, we're good. Here's a big problem, Nick. Here is a big problem. Also, and I'll say it as I quote here. Also, I would like to indicate that the petition drafted by the county itself indicates that the children were no knowledge of any of the drugs being used in the home and are not aware of any use. And any testing of the children that would result in drug use, according to the children, will be because of secondary exposure from some other source. This is where you should have shut up. Why are you talking, Nick? You have an attorney. Use them. You are not talking your way out of this. That is not a statement where we go, oh, wow, bravo, so proud, so brave, Yas Queen, you fucking girl boss in it. No, this is not good. Like, why are you so worried about just harping on? I'm like, you're trying to litigate this right now. No. Because now you're now introducing the idea of the secondary exposure from some other source, which, you know, coupled with Nick talking when he was interviewed by Chrissy Mayer, Nick's talking about, well, it could have been smoked. The cocaine could have been smoked or could have been crack. And you know what? That's a really odd thing to say. That's a really odd thing to bring up. It's almost like it's a self-report at some point. And now we're learning, oh, well, these kids might test positive. Well, we learned one of them did. And, you know, I thought the narrative was the hair follicle tests are bullshit. Huh. So, like, right when this all started, you're jumping out in front of it saying, well, some of them might test positive, but if they do, it's not my fault. Yes, we're onto the conspiracy theory now. This isn't the government planting it, but we have a second conspiracy, chat. It's the second crack smoker on the cracky knoll. You know, that Rekieta child was just sitting there and somebody was smoking crack and just, or smoking cocaine and just blew it right into their face. And there might have been a second one blowing cocaine smoking in their face. It's like a crossfire, you know, hanging out in the Texas crack rock depository. Just, I mean, I'm trying, you know, I didn't want to think there was any, you know, smoking of it going on, but when you bring it up and you bring up that point, and then, yeah, the Pyrex and all that kind of leads to it. But why would you do this? Why would you? The kids were in no knowledge of any drugs being in the home. That might change depending on how they're interviewed. Like, you're like, oh, see, it says that I'm done. It's like, no, Nick, you're not. I just, yes, where there's smoke, there's crack. Lolita Smiles, I was making fun of the as more of a JFK joke than anything. The second crack smoker on the grassy knoll. It was someone else. It was Aaron. Kim says, how many people are smoking crack in the house? I don't know. Remember, like I said, Nick brought it up. And that's such a weird, you know, it's weird and funny, but it's actually not weird and funny. It's weird and horrifying. It's such an odd thing to say. Why would you say that? You know, but then again, though, he tells Chrissy, it's like, well, the police could have planted evidence. She's like, are you saying they did? And he's like, no, I'm not saying that. Yeah, okay. Why would you bring any of that up like that? Because now you're acknowledging there's a secondary exposure from another source. I thought that was all bullshit. I thought that was all bullshit and was all fake. I mean, Robert Barnes sat there screaming about hair follicles being bullshit, and you're just like, this is why you don't talk on the record, because all the lies start piling up. Let your attorney do the talking. So you look at the attorney and go, hey, man, you got all that faggoty book learning. I need you to do your thing. Don't talk for yourself. Don't. I'm sure Nick sat down and was like, Nick's like, 1 point me. It's like, okay. And he goes on, though. He's like, I understand the county's position is to try to attempt to facilitate the safest visitation for the children, but there's no indication other than simply a statute that these children have ever been in danger or exposed to any substances. But you just said up here above that, well, if it does happen, it's totally from someone else. Once again, that's such an odd thing to say, and then in the next breath say, well, they haven't been exposed. Then why would you be worrying about what they are? It's just, like I said, Nick, I'm not Perry. Guys, here's the thing. I'm not Perry Mason. I'm not Matlock. I'm not F. Lee Bailey. I'm not Marcia Clark. I'm not going to be one of the best. I'm not one of the best jurists ever. But come on, guys. Like, you can't do this. This is why you don't do this. It takes a handful of words in a sentence or two to make you sound like an idiot. And it doesn't take much to hang someone with their own words. You can see right here. It's easy enough. It's easy peasy and lemon squeezy. So, this is just... Oh. This is why you don't do it. This is why you shut up. Do not talk in court, chat. Do not talk in court. Go look at your attorney and say, I need you to start talking for me. I'm also really surprised his attorney isn't like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I'm sure Nick stood up and he's giving this great elocution. And I'm surprised his attorney, she isn't sitting there going like, motherfucker, what are you doing? Because I would have stood up and like, Mr. Rekieta, like, do you need to stop? Your Honor, and I'd be interrupting, trying to stop him. I'm sure Nick would be like, no, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad. I'm going to keep talking. And I'll be like, Mr. Rekieta, I really don't think you should talk anymore. No, I know what I'm doing. Do you think Nick takes his lawyer advice? No, I don't think he does, but your lawyer should be stepping in anyway. I've had clients where they don't do it. They don't listen. But you know what? You get up there and you get in the way and you obstruct as much as you can because your job is to stop them. You're supposed to stop them from themselves. And she let him keep talking. This is actually, I think this is a horrible job by this attorney. She should have been up there getting in the way, running interference, stopping it all over again. But she didn't. And I'm actually very upset at that. I'm upset at that. Is it ineffective assistance of counsel? No. Not at this point, but this was not acceptable conduct by the attorney. She should have stopped it. It's not good. I don't like that. She should have been, it's like I've had clients before where they're, they're in a jumpsuit and they got a belly chain and they're cuffed up and, I was sitting there with my guy and we had the chairs and the chairs were kind of short and he was getting like, I thought he might get squirrely and he was going to be like, stand up and yell, y'all, this is bullshit. I had my hand there and I caught his chain and he tried to get up and he's like, and he stopped and he kind of fell back in his chair. That's because if he started getting up and acting out, the cops were going to bum rush him in the courtroom because he's a big asshole. Instead, no. And I'm like, I said, you need to chill the fuck out. These guys are going to fuck you up. And then you're going to look like whatever you want to do here is not going to happen. But his attorney should have stopped him. He says, but there's no indication these children have ever been in danger of exposure to any substances. Okay. Yes, it's the isolated drug house. It's the drug house with the hot and cold rooms. They've got a negative airflow going. So all the coke stays in the bedroom. I mean, that also really hurts Nick because his idea, like, I once again, guys, like I said, don't go to Nick for criminal defense advice. It's like, well, they have to prove I was there, and they have to prove I knew it was there. Well, you're saying the kids never had any interaction. The kids were never allowed in the bedroom. Well, you didn't allow the kids in. Why? Because that's where the drugs were. Once again, your statements can be used against you. And this woman, Kristen Pierce, is the criminal prosecutor. So you're just home run after home run after home run here, Baldo, man. Or that their parents have been under the influence of any substances around them or while providing care. You've been in the house, like, what? Like, what was this? Was this like a watch rotation in the polycule in the cover? Was like somebody was standing watch, they stayed sober while everybody else is getting blitzed and having sex? So, like, one person would be like, all right, we're going to draw straws or rock, paper, scissors. You're like, damn. I guess I'll go hang out with the kids and make SpaghettiOs. Like, come on, Nick. And then he goes on, he says, so, Your Honor, I would just ask, at the very minimum, we go ahead and go with your initial suggestion that the maternal grandparents who are currently providing care be offered the visit or be allowed to facilitate supervision and visitation. We have not done anything to not cooperate with the county other than assert our rights to request counsel before answering any questions and before submitting any testing. Okay. It's something that we had not had any opportunity to give in the Memorial Day weekend. And that's fair. Because remember, guys, we counted the days. Like, they got out of jail and Memorial Day weekend. Like, there's literally, it's government. Like, there's nothing happening. You are not getting a hold of caseworkers. Like, really, nothing's happening right now. So that part, I think, is that's actually not unfair to say. But remember, you've got an attorney. Your attorney can say all this for you. You don't have to say it. I tell my clients this all the time, especially ones who don't have a lot of interaction in the system and they're getting all nervous. Like, what do I say? What do I have to do? I said, you don't have to say magic words. I'll tell you when you, like, here's what you're going to have to say. The court's going to ask you questions. You're going to answer them. And they're going to be very straightforward questions. But I'll tell you when that time's coming. And I'll go over those questions with you. But this is not what you do. Because listen, he sounds like an attorney. That's not your time, Nick. This is not your time to do that. He said, the first time we spoke to the county workers was at our home today around 1. Okay. Despite multiple attempts over the weekend, well, they're fucking government workers. You think they're not picking? I can only imagine. How many times did you call them? Because I'm sure that didn't sound like a lunatic. And despite multiple calls a weekend starting today at 8 a.m., like, okay, so yes, part of it is you don't go ring, 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 voicemail. Answer the phone! Like, is that what you're doing? Like, I'm totally not crazy. Just answer the phone. Like, in doing it over the weekend, like, what were you going to be able to do? We were unable to contact them until they arrived at the house. Like, yeah, it's literally the Memorial Day weekend. But this is why when you work with people, you like chill out. That's why you don't do stuff on your own. When they arrived at our house, once again, they found a house that was much cleaner than what was initially found. Notice not saying spotless, it's much cleaner, implying it was a lot less cleaner, which Remember, we were told, like, it's all a lie. The government says things. They put words on paper, chat. Do you believe the government? Why would you believe the government? Cried Nick. You're literally reinforcing things in the search warrant and the narrative. Oh, we went there and the house was a sty. It was a hovel. You're not dissuading us from that being true, Nick. This is why you don't talk. You're reinforcing all the things you said weren't true, and oh, it's all a conspiracy, and the real truth will come out. Yes, the real truth is coming out because you're talking. This is why you don't talk about your case, even in court. You let your attorney talk about your case. You know, we've been making efforts now the school year is finished to go ahead and take care of the clutter in the home. We've been making immediate efforts. Well, there's been 3 of you. It's been you and Kayla and April. Like, it's 3 people working together. Like, you know, pitch in. It's like an 80s montage. And then, yes, it's you guys are doing coke. It really would be an 80s montage. But, like, start cleaning up and throwing stuff away. And you guys are having fun while you're doing it. And, like, there's, like, the big pile of, like, debris in the middle of the floor. And, like, one of you jumps out and scares the others. You're like, ha! And you're like, ha ha! And he's like, ah! You could do that. You could totally do something like that. But instead, what did you guys do? You probably sat around and got high all weekend. Like, I'm not going to lie. That's probably what happened. And that's okay. It's been a stressful couple of days. Now, I'm not going to say he's gaslighting the court, but oh my God. This is getting there. This is really getting there. I just, he's like, it just keeps going. We're not even requesting that the children be placed in our home during this continuance. Well, I applaud Nick for realizing on the list of things that ain't ever gonna fucking happen at this hearing, that was like number 1. You ain't getting your fucking kids back at this hearing. But merely that the visitation be supervised by people who are obviously qualified to provide that supervision and are sitting in this room right over here and have done so for over 3 decades in this county. Yes, but they also literally walked into the Baldo bunker and apparently nothing happened. So that is a big red flag. That's a big concern point. And then in this county, and he says, in this county, Your Honor. And then the court asked Miss Sweep, the sweepiest of the sweeps. And it's funny. She's not living up to her name, chat. What's the agency's timetable to get through this vetting process and provide education to supervisors? And she said they'd look at it doing a safety meeting, and they're going to try to set that up as soon as possible with the cooperation of the parents within the next week or 2. And now this is a fair point. The court says that's a lot longer than anticipated. Like, why can't we do it this week? And I think that's fair. I think that's a fair question to say, like, because there are times where children's services will dick around. They've got the kids, so they're not always in a urgency to move because they're the dog. Now they caught their car. They're happy. They got the kids. They control the high ground right now. Now, she says it's a very active investigation that's early in its stages in regards to the agency learning who's had knowledge of use and drugs in the home, who's been notified of the use of drugs in the home, and the education behind how to look for the use and being under the influence. And that's a big deal. It's like, yeah, if they didn't know what the hell was going on, it's like, brah. Are you guys sweeping? Are the grandparents bald? Are they nose guarding or just, because that's what's worse, that they were nose guarding and denying, or that they completely were oblivious, because neither one of those is good. Both of those are bad in their own way. So the court set for their admit deny hearing for June 6th. Remember, guys, this is May 28th, so you know we're going back in time here. So everything got continued. Um, and they point out that the court takes notice that the holiday weekend put this at a standstill since the arrest on Thursday. And it says the court will also find the agency was unable and has demonstrated by the petition that given the particular circumstances of the children's removal from the home, there were no services or efforts available which would have allowed the children to stay in the home at that time. And that's true because there was no way in hell that was going to happen. The kids were never going to be allowed to stay in the home. In particular, both the parents were arrested, and that triggered the out of home placement. And yes, the maternal grandparents are the least restrictive environment. They're the most home-like and certainly meet the cultural needs of the children. And it's about keeping the kids in a similar environment as they were in. That they're going to do the visitation center or visitation at the agency. But they point out it's not appropriate for the older kids. So it doesn't work with what they have there. But the agency has to come up with a safety plan pretty quick. Like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make sure everybody's safe? Now, they talk about continuing the hearing to June 6th. They keep going. They bring up there's a typo for one of the kids' names. So, yeah, we're not including that. And then that's normal. Sometimes the kids' names get misspelled. Sometimes the wrong birth dates. That happens. Now, here's an issue. If you guys were not aware, the judge who was at this hearing, and I said magistrate because here it's always magistrates doing these hearings. The judge who handled this hearing was the same judge who handled Nick's arraignment and Kayla's arraignment, their initial appearance. So he pointed out he had to give it an admonition as to Zoom at the arraignment on Friday. He said that was immediately ignored and we were published immediately. Yeah, you were. A court hearing like that, oh, you can't publish this. You don't get this. This is a public hearing. We are allowed to watch it. Now, though, so the default in these cases will be in person since we've got not done well with the use of Zoom. Now, the publishing immediately, remember, one of the people, especially David, MLS, he had permission from the court anyway. The really big issue there is which one of you did it when you did a total N-word death. That didn't help. And then the guy who screamed at Nick and told him to rope himself, or, that didn't help things. So, to the A-logs out there, you did it. You did it, Reddit. So just something to think about when you guys want to spurg out. There are consequences for that. Now, in the meantime, I know you guys have been following Null over on Kiwi Farms. I submitted a affidavit, and a couple of attorneys did, saying this is a matter that needs to be aired. I have, we need to do this. We need to go through with it. So hopefully that takes care of the issue. But I mean, initially the court's like, they don't like you fucking around with their stuff. Court is serious. So just in the future, control yourselves. Go, I don't know, whatever it is some of you need to do to go stim, but go stim like in a corner somewhere. Don't do it in the middle of Zoom, please. So, and they talk about here, yeah, and the judge says, like, I can tell you the court nor the court administrator had any idea what was coming to them on Friday, right up to the time of the hearing. Yeah, I'm sure. And this is the guardian. This is Nick's attorney now saying, do you think that everybody gotten a taste of that? We know there are these folks that just, she's pointing out, like, we've had problems here. So great. Once again, they're using this against us. So The prosecutor saying, I guess my suggestion would be that if the Judge Helgeson is by Zoom, and I think that's going to be for the juvenile stuff, that no one else be allowed by Zoom. Anyway, but you know what? The juvenile cases, people don't have a right to go into those hearings anyway. That's not a problem. It's the issue of Nick's criminal stuff, but I think they're focusing on, for some reason, I think they're kind of dovetailing it all together and trying to tie it all together. And I don't think that's proper, but I really hope to God they don't try to tie this all together and fuck us out of all of this. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see out there, A-Logs. Now, and then Nick at the end. Once again, why are you talking? Why are you talking, Nick? You have an attorney. Your attorney literally just talked. Your attorney is right here talking. And you're just like, no, I got something I want to say. Why? Why? Why are you talking, Nick? Why am I shouting? Because I don't think he understands. I don't know if it's not getting through his skull or it's his ODD, which I don't know what the deal is, man. You call this ODD, you need to just get tuned up. That'll cure ODD pretty quick in an adult. You need to listen, man. Let people do the work for you. I mean, I can't imagine Nick just let his clients run wild in court like this. I really hope to God he did it. But you never know at this point. Who knows? Who really knows? But now we see the malding, the coping, and the seething in full display. Your Honor, in light of your admonition and your statement at my arraignment that any recording or broadcasting may be a contempt of court. Yes, the guy who says, fuck you, I do what I want, is so worried about the rules of court now. If I have knowledge of someone in the state of Minnesota who would presumptively be under the jurisdiction of the state who violated that order, what would be the proper course? Who should I tell, Judge? Fucking crybaby. Judge, who should I tell about this person A-logging me? It's not fair. No! That's basically what we just heard right there. Should I bring that by? Motion in my criminal trial. Should I refer that to the prosecutor? What should I do in that case? What should I do? Oh! And he goes on, I want to verify my information before I actually do make an accusation. But I have reason to believe that someone in the state who is actually associated with the prosecution's case was one of the people who broadcast that hearing illegally. I'm sure in his mind, he's like, that goddamn John got me. I would like to make sure that is brought to the attention of the court and Your Honor specifically. Oh, yes, Detective Nick on the trail. I'm sure he went and investigated this out. And then he goes to, somebody watched it. And then Nick gets online. He's like, oh, my God, everybody. It's like, no, Nick, we all did. We all covered it. And, if you're really going after Aaron, I don't know how much more cuckier it gets. You put my court case on. It's like coming from the guy who's like, I want transparency in all court hearings. Yes, it's meant to make the government accountable, Nick, but transparency in court proceedings is how society holds its members accountable. That's part of the reason why this is being done. The community is trying to hold you accountable too. It's not just government people got beef with. They got beef with you. But just listen to that. Listen to that crying right there. That's just straight crybaby. Sean is so high pitched he might clipped. Well, I'm sure that's what it sounded like in court. Just Nick, just oh no! Like, come on, man. You're a grown ass man and you're crying about this. Your Spurgeon love to the mix was cutting out. Well, I mean, that just shows you how retarded this was. He's like, he's turning into Russell Greer. But, Your Honor, it's the farms. They are the hardship. No. Yes. Nick's just running around. He's like, Judge, I can't sneed. Help me. These goddamn Kiwi farmers, the Karen farmers. No. It's so tough. Like, oh, God, it's reeing like a boss. And then the court says, I won't be assigned to the criminal case. My involvement is probably done with that case, having done the arraignment. Then he says, hey, Miss Prosecutor, should we give that to you? Or, like, should he give that information to you? And the prosecutor's like, no, we don't want any of that information. That can make us a witness in an ancillary action. We direct all information. You can provide it to law enforcement, which, oh, I'm sure. Remember, Nick, that law enforcement, you can't trust the government. They planted all your cocaine. But now he had to go there hat in hand, be like, hey, Mr. Policeman, I know I got mad at you and threw your warrants on the ground, and I know I act like a fucking little crybaby every time you give me a ticket, and I say, bullshit, you're fucking lying every time you give me a ticket. But please, Mr. Policeman, these people watched my trial. Can you do something about that? Thank you. Go hat. I'm sure that would have been emasculating to him to do that. I'm sure that would have been super emasculating. Although I do love it because the prosecutor's like, go talk to Judge Fisher. Oh, yes. The great Judge Fisher, the esteemed jurist who can squeeze liquor out of her vagina, according to Nick. I'm sure she'll get right on that. Hey, Judge, remember I said all that stuff about you and your vagina, like. But anyways, Judge, these people are being mean to me. No. And then he says, all right, if I verify my findings, I will raise it with Judge Fisher. I thought you thought she was going to be all up against you, so you got rid of her. It's like, oh my God, Nick. Fucking sad. Come on, brother. Oh my God. This is just, yes. Bullshit, you're fucking lying. Yes, can we get a that's not true? I mean, yes. That's not true. Oh, if I got a phone call from the shower, that ain't getting fucking picked up. I'll tell you that much. How does Nick think he's going to verify his findings? He's going to have Barnes on it. He's like, better call Barnes. Robert Barnes will be on the case. He's got a crack team of investigators right now digging into it. Hearing concluded at 4:36. And then that is, and you guys were thinking, oh, that's 20 minutes of talking. Yeah, that's kind of normal. I mean, heck, I just got transcripts today from a guy who had a trial, and let me see here. Let me open this up. Yeah, this is going to be huge. It's like a 4-day trial, and it's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of pages. So, yeah. So I totally hold on here. Let me see. Let's see. Volume 4. Is there no table of contents to this? Okay, so it's a 4-day trial, and it's like up to 800 pages. Then there's a sentencing, and that's a bunch of pages here. And then I have all the jury instructions, the verdict forms, and jury questions. And that's for. I am gonna kill myself having to do this. Oh God. So yeah, having a transcript is not crazy. That's pretty standard. So, anyways, on the last page of every transcript that's going to be used officially, you get the court reporter certificate. And this is the court reporter just saying that I am a court reporter in the 8th Judicial District. I did this electronically, record the proceedings, and then I transcribed it into a typewritten form. And then that transcript consists of 17 pages. It's a full, true, and correct transcription of all the proceeds of the hearing. And this is just her acknowledging who she is, what date she did it, and all of her information so you can get in contact with her. So that's pretty normal. That's pretty normal, standard, par for the course stuff. Dolly, how you doing? David, I see you here. David says the only time I talk to Sean on the phone is when I'm in the shower. Well, I'm not sure if I'm flattered or concerned. And C says, doesn't even matter. Sean doesn't live in Minnesota. I understand. But that's why it's like, when courts try to say like, well, no, we have the no, you're putting a hearing out. It has the right to be published. So it then turns into, we see all this, and then you see like the revenge porn thing going down, and it's just like, take your L's and go home, Nick. You've literally crashed and burned here. You're not gonna knock Aaron out of this, and the case is gonna collapse. No, it's not going to. Guys, take your L's and go home. This is Streisand effect. You are not helping things. And I'll give you that free advice. You are not helping things. Just stop. Stop. Or, in French, I mean, I don't think Rekieta is French. He says Polish, but I'll just say, ne pas. Ne pas. Give it a little Olympic flair. Just stop. Wait, the revenge porn? Yeah, allegedly, Aaron gave out some of the pictures. I guess he had nude pictures of Kayla, which really kind of enforces the idea that, like, can you really have revenge porn in your swinger co-op or polycule or whatever it is you want to call it? I don't really know how that works, but it's this like circle of cucking, and it's like Aaron and Nick. It's kind of like when you like look at a fighter pilot and they talk about like they're doing like aerial combat maneuvers and they keep trying to turn inside of each other, and it's just like cucking, and they're like cucking, counter cuck, cucking, counter cuck, cucking, counter cuck. Oh, is that a swinger faux pas? I don't think so. I don't really think there's too many faux pas when you're swinging. Yes, doing. Well, I was gonna say scissors, but then everybody would turn that into a lesbian thing. But yes, doing like a rolling scissors and that. Yes. Yes, glow in the dark. I understand the term is scissoring, but if I started talking about it, it was gonna get what we were gonna turn into right away. You know where it was going. Yes, DCS. They use digital cuck simulator. Oh. All right, guys. So it's really hard to take Sean seriously as a defense attorney. You know what? That's fine. But literally, that's what I mean. Am I supposed to sit here and go, "Oh, this is very serious for Mr. Rekieta. You shouldn't do it." It's like people try to tell him that, and it doesn't work. So, this is. I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you at this point. Don't know what to say, but it's there. It's there. I'm serious, guys. Do not talk. You've got an attorney. And if you don't have an attorney, that's even more incentive for you just to shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. You're not going to help yourself. You're not going to talk your way out of it. You might say, well, I'm not as stupid as Nick is. Great. You're still not talking your way out of it. I'm not talking my way out of problems either. Shut up. Because all you're doing is, oh, well, I put out a fire. And you're like, you lit another one in the process. Like there. Now Nick admits, oh, yeah, well, I knew those results are going to be true. So now we know the results are true. One of his kids did get exposed. And then Nick keeps talking. And now Nick brought up the idea of like, either somebody's freebasing cocaine or is smoking crack. And it's like, well, we weren't on that track before, but now why would you say that? Once again, guys, when you keep talking, it all builds up. And now we're getting to like I said, we're getting to boogie levels of like bullshit. I just want to hear Nick say, he grabs me by my tipples. Yes, the Pop brothers are right. Shutting the fuck up is the best answer. Is always the best answer. And that's the thing, guys. Like we've seen all of this. We've seen all of it. We're not just relying on what we've been told. We've been watching it happen. That's one of the unique things in this case. Like we hear about these things, or like what happened with P. Diddy. Oh, well, there were some allegations, but then there were some pictures. You're like, damn. But let's just say it was allegation. You're like, well, I don't know. But if we had been watching that and seeing all the things happen, you'd be like, okay, yeah, that I agree with what's in the warrant. I agree what's in the narrative. We've been watching this happen. So once again, don't believe your lying eyes, apparently. Nick Tipples. Yeah, he'll live stream the evidence. That would be fucking hilarious. Scream Queen Selena is saying, will the trial be televised? I mean, you are worried about a trial, and we haven't even gotten to the omnibus hearing. So the trial is like, you're worried about what's happening in the fourth quarter, and we're still in the first quarter. We got a long way to go. When's the trial? There's no trial date set yet. What's going on with the monograph stuff? It got pushed out to like November, so I don't really know what happened. They had a phone conference, and that's about it from what I know. Oh my gosh, who is... What the heck here? No, somebody tried to message me. I'm trying to figure out what the heck this is. All right. So we got some other things to catch up on here real quick. Chris Kelly for £2 sterling. The King sterling. Says this blog is royally approved. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Sleazy says, uh-oh, Nose Bros. Yes. Oh no, Nose Bros, I got a bad feeling. Bifron says, can we reach the goal, chat? For Clyde. Duncan Idaho says, how the mighty have fallen and just keep on falling. Yeah. Yep. It's like a bunker buster, just poof, just keeps going. It's like in the core, where it's got the little laser. It's like the thing that's got the laser on the front of it. It just keeps burrowing a tunnel. KRM says, April makes the crack house in a crack home. Aww. Well, which crack house? Because, I mean, technically, they've got the big house. They got the big house now. Miss Nick and Miss Nick and Miss Kayla, they live up in the big house. April lives out in the field house. She ain't allowed in the big house no more. Although, yeah, technically, the way they have it set up, they have a trap house now. That secondary house. April is a trap queen. There. I'm sure. I'm not going to make... I'm going to keep going with that joke. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to say something that 2.0 will get mad at me for. Stephen Cooper, been a new member. Thank you. And he gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Stephen. Ag says, Nick, the government snitch. I know, he's snitching on himself. He's telling on himself. This is why you don't talk, because, guys, most of my clients, most people in general, you tell on yourself. That's why most cases have to plea, because you fuck yourself over with the evidence. Duncan Idaho's a new member. Frevin JJ says, Black Mode, son, won't you come? Actually, it's like, Crack Rock, son, won't you come and smoke away the seething? Oh. And Faust says, what do you mean denying the divinity of Christ might be heresy? I know. Just, and that's that, like I said, when it comes to theology, like literally ignoring John 3:16. Yes, Nick, Jesus was really fucking special. God so loved man, he sent his only begotten son here to save us. It sacrificed him for us. The gospel and the New Testament are not fucking Mad Libs where you go, well, what if we change the words and we're going to get some wacky interpretation? No, they're not. They're not Mad Libs. Okay? I try to stay out of the religious shit when I'm on here. I say that for locals. But they're not Mad Libs. They are not Mad Libs. Okay? Jesus was the OG. Like, you're not going to, oh, what if this happened? No. Stop. Unknown Hero for $2 says, I've been saying Nick is just a skinny boogie. Well, he hasn't. Well, I mean, there's a 5K thing there. So, well, actually, maybe that'll be the 5K gift. He'll blow crack smoke in your face. You just have to line up. He'll go to Anime Matsuri and just sit there and just get the chore boy going. This will be Nick at the. This will be Nick Anime Matsuri for everybody.
Man! Check him out, y'all. He having the time of his life.
Oh, hold on. We got to focus better. Come on. Focus. That's better. Nick will be Anime Matsuri. That's the locals' gift. He'll just fire up the rock and be like, blow it in your face. Now you'll test positive for crack. The Redneck Ram says Nick should be hired to be on Locale Live as the newest talent. No, because Nick can't stay on script. Nick won't be on script. Nick won't do kayfabe because you can't tell him what to do. So he would actually make it bad. Walter Malone says, Your Honor, they're making fun of me online. Can you give them contempt? Daddy government, please? Yes. Chris Kelly says for £2 sterling, the King Sterling, he says, did you see my super chat pre-stream? I feel felted, good sir. Yes. I kind of feel it's a little rude to just start running into super chats like that. People are here. We need to talk. So my apologies, Chris. If you want me to, I can, I don't know. I can give you a license for your £2. Duncan Idaho says, the Cracky Knoll theory deserves at least $2. Yeah, well, it's Knoll. The Cracky Knoll. Unhung Hero says, so he probably knew his kid was going to test positive. Clearly, she got into a stash or he was freebasing. Well, remember, Nick brought up the smoking thing. So that remember, guys, when people say things and why they say things and why would they bring that up, that tells you a lot. And if he doesn't, it's just that he's a fucking retard and says things that unnecessarily implicate himself. And that's the point of why you don't talk. Oh, I was just talking. So that didn't happen. Okay, well, that's why you don't fucking talk, because it sounds like that's what happened. Moral of the story. Sleazy says, gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Sleazy. Then Einbrecht for 5 Canadian loonies says, why my Nicka hitting them YouTube people drugs? Jonathan says, cut him some slack. He was clearly excited to be in a courtroom. He was just so excited to have a chance to finally use his lawyer words with the judge. He did work before. Mr. Squiggle says, oh, I get it. He's playing the insanity defense. I mean, he might be. Midnight in Exile says, Nick thinks he's entitled to be the center of attention at all times. Not getting that enrages him. He'll do well in prison. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen. I understand some of you guys want to see that, but I don't think so. I don't. I could see him being put in jail for being an insolent little turd at some point, but they're gonna try to work with him. I mean, that is you guys are like thinking way down the road, which it may not even happen. Edward Scott says freebasing is an old way to make crack cocaine. Freebasing is not the same as crack. You can freebase crack cocaine, but you can also freebase cocaine. I know you're like, well, actually, and is it really is it a difference without a distinction? I mean, there's a bit of a difference, but you're basically doing crack at that point. But there's a little bit of a difference. A little bit of a difference. Yes. Reverend says, he who hath not sinned, throw the first crack rock and smoketh it. Cap says, I'm pulling out for court mandated streams. Yes. Yes, freebase is base free, no cut. Yes. But for the average person trying to explain why that's different than smoking crack, isn't really like when you're trying to explain it to an average person on the street. Do you think there's a difference between freebasing and smoking crack? They're gonna be like, no, it's the same thing. And it pretty much is more or less. Gets you the same effects. Yes, see Richard Pryor. Yes. Richard Pryor tried to freebase cocaine and had a really bad time because he lit himself on fire and severely burned himself. Fed Poster says, I'm a Scandi prude. What does freebasing mean? I'm pretty sure YouTube will get mad if I start explaining to you guys how to freebase cocaine, among all the other things I've done. Do you think the prosecutor is still willing to give Nick a plea offer? Oh, I think so. I think so. I think she would rather get here's the deal. I think she understands that she's going to absolutely hate her fucking life having to deal with Nick. And if she can make a plea where he just goes the fuck away and then he goes and fucks up on probation, and then she can come back later and fucking ship him off, I think that's probably what she's thinking. No muss, no fuss. Let him hang himself. Because I can't imagine she's sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is, a case she enjoys. I guarantee you she hates dealing with this case. It's tiring. Pepsi Man, it's good to see you. Saying, yes, the guy screaming, my government is trying to tattle. I know. Isn't it ironic? It's so funny. It's so funny and weird. So weird and funny. Stabby McStabwood's a new member. Thank you, Stabby. Alex Blackfoot says, is it possible Nick is the attorney of record for Kayla, hence why he's running his mouth? No. Kayla has her own attorney in the Children's Services case. You get appointed attorneys at the start, and whether or not they're I think Kayla eventually retained her own, from what I understand, there, and then that attorney is now representing her in the criminal stuff. But no, Nick can't represent Kayla anyway. That would be really bad. So he shouldn't be doing that. No, is he running his mouth because he thinks he can talk his way out of it? I think he thinks he's gonna, unlike me, he thinks he is the smartest man in the room. President-elect Phil Swift is saying, Your Honor, the A-logs is in my head. Get him out. Soon we're going to have the Cyrax and Nick stream. They're going to sit there and lament about the fucking A-logs. Oh, that'll be great. The Wilmar Akron crossover will happen soon. Shudder at that thought. Sky's neighborhood for £1.99 for £2 sterling. The King Sterling. Saying, doesn't he have a case now with each judge there? No, I think with the juvenile stuff, some of these judges were rotating in and out. It sounds like over the Memorial Day weekend time frame, stuff was kind of in flux. So I think he's already been involved with a bunch of those judges practicing already. Dan and Gaines says, do you think Nick and Aaron shared the Baldo? No. I don't think Aaron. I think Aaron was willing to go. I think Aaron had his limits, and I think the Baldo is one of those limits. I like to think he didn't put it on. I like to think he didn't put it on. I'm trying to good faith Gary him there. I don't think he put on the Baldo. See, Aaron, I believe in you. Please don't let me down. Please don't be like, yeah, I had it on the whole time. In fact, we dip him in paint and like we drew paintings on the walls. Meyer Machination says, yes, a reverse Immelman into a full cuck. Yes. Nick and Aaron were doing Cuban 8s. That's another aviation trick. That's not a sexual thing, although I could see Nick trying to find a Cuban guy and doing a Cuban 8 at the Pleasure Barn. Germ is saying Nick can't do any more damage to Case than he already has. Are you fucking sure about that? He could do a lot more damage. You can always... I appreciate that people have the idea, like, you can't fuck things up worse than they're already fucked up. And, every once in a while that's true. Like, you break a tool, like, or take a wrench and break it in half. You can't fuck it up any worse than it is. But, like, a criminal case, you could keep fucking it up. Like, there is literally endless ways you can make it worse for yourself. He should fire his attorney and represent himself to plead insanity. Here's the problem, though, guys. Insanity means at the time you were doing all this, you had to know what you were doing, wasn't wrong. And I don't even know what's Minnesota's standard for insanity. Like, he's clearly not insane, and he's just an idiot. And that's not a justifiable situation. You can't just go, Your Honor, my client's a retard. The Squid is saying, I like Nick and think he can be entertaining, but holy crap, I thought that as an attorney himself, he know to shut the fuck up. Courts don't like it when you try to represent yourself unless it's traffic court. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, if I got a speeding ticket, I go take care of it myself. I'd probably call up the prosecutor, wherever it is, like, hey, can we do something about it? Cool. Like, serious stuff, I'm gonna get some help on. Even I'll go get help on. EDW Raptor says, has Nick hit rock bottom yet? Oh, no, I don't think so. Amateur Iconoclast gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. EDW Raptor gifted 5 memberships. Thank you as well. Johan Noxos saying, still waiting for my 5K gift. Like I said, it's probably going to be a little puff of crack smoke. And like I said, when I was telling Worski, I'm surprised at how impeccable his teeth are still. Maybe they just started doing it because when you start smoking crack or you start freebasing cocaine, all those chemicals, they eat your teeth up, man. Like crackheads, it don't go well very quickly. Or, Nick's just very big on brushing his teeth. John Coleman says he gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, John. EDW Raptor gifted 10 more. That's right, chat. We're making this a green-only chat. The Grays need to keep moving. Do you think we could start a class action for the 5K gift? I mean, even you're forcing him to make you a gift is not going to get any better at this point. So, Selena gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Selena. Thank you for the support. Muzzy Skeleton says, Law Snitch is telling all the business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yes, I'm right here. Keep it going, Sean. Well, thank you. Thank you. Callie Intus Mortuus. Did I just say like a spell or something out of Harry Potter? For 5 Australian dollary dues. Says, looks like Nick is still licensed. Yes. Does he have to report his charges if only convicted? Yes, because he's innocent until proven guilty. Here in Oz, he would have already been investigated by the bar. Oh, I'm sure he would have. But yeah, here in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. Now, if something were really big happening, like all of a sudden he got accused of like grand theft and stealing from clients, I think the bar might get in there and temporarily suspend his ability to practice. But that's not anything that's being alleged here. It's just, attorney with a drug problem. Like, dog bites mailman, film at 11. Like, a lot of attorneys in America have drug or alcohol problems. Anam Hero says, if Nick straightens himself out, is he redeemable? We're all redeemable. There's always a way back. I mean, for some people, the way back is just like, okay, fine. I don't think you should go on the wall anymore, up against the wall. But everybody has a way back. It's just, what is it? How far does it go? And what can you do for it? There's always the chance to turn around and redeem yourself. I mean, America's built on the redemption story. We love a good comeback. But I mean, like, our history is full of people redeeming themselves and refinding themselves and making themselves better. But is Nick going to do that? I mean, like, all signs right now point to no. I'd love to see him do it. I still want him to go find, like, actually read that Bible, find Jesus and find some purpose and, get good again. I don't think it's going to happen, though. And in the meantime, I think this is accountability. I think this is how people can hold other people accountable. Oh, some people think being a friend and saying, "Oh, it's okay." No, being accountable means you're fucking up. Stop. Peter says, Sean, Nick stole the rocks. Catch cry. Oh. Richard Gruber says, is it worth being internet famous if you're going to do fug shit if Nick gets a sweetheart result? Boogie got a slap on the wrist for popping off at Frank Castle. Well, yeah, but also Boogie didn't have a record. And yeah, it was really stupid. But in the grand scheme of things, like, it kind of like that was a reasonable outcome. And I've said it from the start, though. If Nick can get, like, very likely some sort of diversionary deferred sentencing, great. But he's got to take advantage of it and make the most of it. And I don't know if he can. But yeah, if Nick gets a result that works and he takes care of himself, great. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that if I, then I don't have any more Nick stuff to talk about. That's fine. There'll be all kinds of police beating and murdering people or all kinds of crazy lawsuits out there from other people to talk about. So, and I would say this is worth being internet famous, I guess, but it's like, I'm doing this because it's fun. I like to do it. I hope that answered the question a little bit. I don't know if it did. Unknown Hero says, is this the 5 o'clock? Yeah. Is this the 5 o'clock free crack giveaway? To quote the great Tyrone Biggins. Aaron was baldoed with diameter. Oh no, stop, Moz. That's sad. I don't know if I want to think about that. Johan says, I'm going to build a sodomy barn on that land, Sean. Yes. And Cat, but not Cat Williams. Cat not Williams here. Get to 5 memberships. Thank you, Cat. Appreciate it. And guys, if you want to see somebody who's been, I know some of you guys are new, covering the Young Thug trial really well, interacting with the attorneys involved in this, Cat Not Williams has been doing a great job covering that, like, on a frequent basis here. Grassroots Hegemon says, what kind of danger is he in of just running out of money if he tries to drag this out? I don't know. I don't know how much money he's got. I mean, that's the question. I don't know. I mean, he's got, his family has, through his grandparents, like, very, very well off, but I don't know how much money Nick has left. Who knows? Revan says, what did specifically Nick say in court? I missed it. Oh, you missed it all. He gave away all the secrets. He had information leading to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. EDW Raptor gifted 5 memberships. And he says, did we hit the extendo goal yet? It's a secret extendo, Chad. I'm not going to tell you. Fair Frozen says, this is unfair. Just because my IP location, Puerto Rico, and cannot get subscriptions, you won't read shit I'm accusing you to the bar. Cheers. Wait, you can't do memberships in Puerto Rico from YouTube, but you can super chat? Huh. Ay caramba, that sucks. Grassroots hegemon says, he could have won me partway back if he had went in and just read the entire Unbreaded manifesto. Oh yeah, that would be hilarious if he just, yes. Your Honor, I'd like to file this as an exhibit. It's just some guy screaming at Asian people. Yes, Your Honor, I know. Also, Trot says Coke less of a penalty than crack in America. Back in the 80s and 70s, yes. Nowadays, no. Because there was a thing that white people and people who were more affluent were using cocaine, and poor people and minorities were using crack. That's pretty much gone as a distinction anymore. Possessing cocaine is a mixture containing cocaine. So crack counts as cocaine, like here in Ohio. You don't get possessing crack, it's just possessing cocaine. My cat's name is Sarah, and Karen says, you could put sugar in your bowl? Seriously? I don't know. I missed that one. So let's see here. So what's going to happen here, guys? I don't know. I'm hoping we get more information. Can I sell you guys anti 5G medicine? Well, no. Go buy potassium iodide online. Go buy some Prussian blue, which is actually good because it does give you cesium and thorium that your thyroid in your system will then be saturated with, so your body won't absorb radioactive cesium and thorium. It's actually really kind of an important thing, and kind of like potassium iodide gets in your thyroid, so your thyroid doesn't absorb all that stuff. But even then, you've got bigger issues like strontium, and there's some like really nasty, like, and then if there's like a dirty bomb, you'd have like radioactive cobalt. Like that's really bad. Like if you really wanted to make a nuclear weapon bad, you'd have cobalt in it. Like salting radioactive cobalt is like the worst. So no, you don't need to buy any of that crap. And buying like a digital Geiger counter, like you can spend $70 and buy an old, refurbished and tested civil defense Geiger counter for like $80 that works. So just something to think about. Just something to think about. Cat and Stem says Jay Leno did something similar. Jay Leno was smoking crack? Yes, he's need basing. Oh yes, need basing. Yes, ether is highly flammable. Yes, it is. Now I'm being the Scandinavian prude. Are you saying we'll get a Richard Pryor moment from Nick? I'm not saying you can't, but if you were going to start doing drugs with somebody, is Nick the person you want to start doing them with? Do you trust Nick and his ability to guide you through the world of narcotics in a safe manner? I sure don't. I sure don't. Jay Leno had an entire car made of crack and snorted the whole thing. Oh no. That'd be horrible. Yeah, come on, boss man Jack could cook his own crack and not blow up. Nick isn't even a good crackhead. Well, yeah, it's you got to know what you're doing, and it's yeah. All right, guys. Here, so there's a couple more things here. Um, actually, hold on here. Wait. Tim of Tams. Hey, Tim, how you doing, Timorino? For $5 Australian reduce says just woke up. Can I get Cliff Notes for whatever retarded thing Nick has done now? Yes, he opened his mouth in court and admitted to a bunch of shit, not intentionally. That kind of solidifies things we already knew. Kyle Cowden says the only unforgivable sin is blaspheming the Holy Spirit. Nick really skirts that line. Well, blaspheming the Son of God is not exactly a winning move there. I'm still doing a Thursday night stream. Yes, and if you guys are new, I do a Thursday night stream every Thursday night at 9:30, and tonight's Thursday, so we'll be doing that. We have quite a few things to talk about. We some good news that Wayne LaPierre is no longer in charge of the NRA. Um, I think it's funny it took the scumbags in the New York Attorney General's office and some douchebag liberal judge in New York City to get rid of Wayne LaPierre, but hey, you know what? They're helping us out. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is looking for a plea deal and may actually have one. SCOTUS, is going to be looking at court packing is coming up as that's been proposed by President Biden, which not a good deal. Evan Gershkovich has been released along with a lot of other people. There's a big prisoner swap being prepared, which it's funny, he's been in prison for 16 months and we traded Brittany Griner for Victor Bout instead of this guy. And then a very interesting story of a woman getting in trouble for impersonating an attorney and trying to sneak into a jail. It's actually kind of funny. And there's a couple other ones we'll get to, but those are kind of the big ones for tonight. That's at 9:30, guys. You guys will enjoy it if you're new. I promise you will enjoy it. We'll also recap some of this because I know not everybody's been around and they won't have the chance to have seen it. So we'll kind of cover this as well. Unknown Hero says most coke now is partly meth and fentanyl. Yeah, it is. That this is very true. And that's the thing I am surprised about with Nick and Kayla and Aaron and April. And I've said this before, and I've said this numerous times. I am surprised none of them have OD'd. And I hope to God Nick has fucking Narcan in their house. I bet you they fucking don't, though. But yes, most coke today is garbage. And why are people dying doing coke? Because they're snorting a ton of meth or they're getting a bunch of fent. They're getting that fetty and they're done. So yeah, I hope to God they have fucking Narcan in that house. I doubt they do. And Nick and Kayla, if you're listening to this, for the love of fucking God, get some fucking Narcan. You can get it for free. Like, it's available. There are community organizations and groups that will give it to you. You guys need to have some. And I'm not joking. I'm 100% deadly fucking serious. Get some fucking Narcan in your house. Like, I get it. You guys are trying to be clean right now, but have that on hand because if one of you guys relapses, or even worse, your kids get around that shit, get some fucking Narcan. Like, I'm serious. Do you think Nick does alkyl nitrites? I'm not sure what he does. It wouldn't surprise me. He's done all kinds of crazy shit. EDW Raptor saying, if Nick goes to jail, do you think he'll develop a Jenkum habit? No comment. No comment. X says the cops will give it to you for free. Yeah, but the cops who just busted you, I'm sure it's not a good look to go like knock on the door of the police station and go, hey, can you guys have some Narcan I could borrow? Like, you don't want to do that. That's not going to look good. Garrett says you should only get one Narcan dose per lifetime. Well, sometimes that's not enough to get you out. Like, you may have taken enough where it's like 2, 3, 4 Narcan doses. Now, I think you're trying to say you only get one free pass from Narcan. Okay. They are absolutely trying not to get clean. Well, even if they are, they need to stop. At least have Narcan for the kids. I think so, yeah. Yeah, pharmacies in Canada give it out free. There's a lot of places that give it away for free. I mean, as much as you could joke about Campsite says the Narcan only gets administered if there was a subpar blowjob. Oh no. That's not funny. Although that's very funny. Aquatic Nomad says surely they're still not using. I mean, With somebody like Nick, I don't think you can really trust whether or not he's being truthful about it. I mean, it's cocaine. It burns out of your system very quickly. Or if he's doing coke with meth in it, I mean, that's really going to burn out of your system fast. And alcohol burns out of your system too pretty quick. So you can people who use work around drug testing. Juror 13's right. People OD when they change dealers. That is the other danger spot. Frequently when you OD, it's because you've been out of the game and you jump back in. Or number two, you get a new dealer and you don't know where he's getting his shit from. But those are the two ways people generally OD is they've been out of the game, they jump in, and well, they jump too far into the deep end, and that's it. Say, I knew Sean could be sweet. Thanks. Am I single? No. Nope. Nope. The lovely future Mrs. Martin 2.0 has got my heart. Moonchild Pink says, my son told me people cut the coke with meth because it's cheaper, just like fentanyl. Well, yeah, of course it is. Coke costs money. Meth is cheap. Fentanyl's even cheaper. And besides, who cares? You're mixing it all together. And that's the other thing, too. With all these pills they were taking, like Nick has these, like, those ketamine pills. I am absolutely astounded those weren't just straight fentanyl, because that's what happens nowadays. People making pills, they get a pill press with all the proper indents in it, and they put fentanyl in there, and you're just, oh, I'm going to take a Xanax, pure fentanyl. It's like, there's some dangerous fucking games they were playing at in that house in Spicer. Dangerous fucking games. And like, oh, you can buy test kits. Like, I ain't trusting a home test kit for fentanyl. Like that's no. Fire Red Podcast says, and they get angry when you use fentanyl, it immediately kills the high. And yes, those people who are ODing, usually because it's like a monster epic high, you stole it from, they get very mad. Very, very mad. Love and Two Times says, my ex-husband died 3 years ago by snorting cocaine that was laced with fentanyl. I'm sorry to hear that. Unknown to him, it's a very dangerous habit. Yeah, you don't know what's in there. Monica says, what's Narcan? Okay, and I don't feel bad actually explaining that. I'm not gonna I'm gonna be serious. Narcan is also known as naloxone, and it is used to treat overdoses in an emergency situation. Basically, it interferes with the ability of the opioids to kill you. It reverses it. It blocks off the brain from taking in any more opioids. Because what do they do? Well, you stop breathing and you start everything starts slowing down. It restores breathing, and it only works on opiates. So if somebody ODs on another type of drug, it doesn't do anything. And the other thing is too, if you're a healthy person, you could take a Narcan hit. Like you should still go to the hospital, but like it's not going to kill you. But Narcan does actually do quite a bit. It's been very helpful. It's saved a ton of lives. If you go on YouTube and look for those, you'll find them where the people are like, they're ODing and they're just, they're just foaming and they're just like snot bubbling out and they're agonally breathing. And they just fucking shove the Narcan up their nose and they're like, and they come back to life. It's truly like, it's Narcan is magic. Like it blocks the brain's ability to accept the opioids, but just the way it's almost like magic how it works on people. And if you're ever fucking around with drugs, you shouldn't. But if you do, you should really have Narcan on hand. Because like I said, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting. Unless you make it yourself, you don't know what you're getting. Yeah, the Department of Health will give them away for free, but I don't know what's set up in Nick's community. And I'm sure it's a rural community, like a lot of rural communities. They got hit really hard with the opioid epidemic. So they probably have resources available. Yeah, your pharmacy will provide it, sure, but there's other places they can go that are probably less discreet. That are far more discreet. They can go and nobody will ever know, and there's no names and nobody ever sees it. Teresa says, "What is the saying? With friends like you, who needs enemies?" Um, I mean, well, with if with the enemies, like if there's other ways to be friends, I just don't think there's ways to be friends in this situation. Being critical is being a friend. Not saying, oh, he's all good, Yas Queen, I think is far more dangerous to him than any of this. Yeah, sometimes you need a couple of doses. Yep. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, sometimes you do, but at least you have one. At least you have one dose ready to go. Maybe that'll buy you some time while the police and fire get there. But yes, a couple is never a bad idea. Maybe they have fentanyl test strips. I would not trust that shit. I would not trust that shit you can buy. I would still have Narcan on hand because I wouldn't trust it. I would assume everything you're touching has fentanyl in it. It's a far easier way to handle it. And yes, with friends like you, I need more enemies. Yeah, and that's the point. Like he needs more critical people than friends at this point. Let's see here. Yeah, some addicts will get Narcan and then OD again right away. Yep, that happens all the time. Happens all the time. My cat's name is Karen. Says the fact that need Narcan is a fundamental problem in itself. Well, yeah, but that's when you start playing with drugs. That's always a risk. I mean, short of smoking weed, and even then, like, yeah, theoretically there could be like fentanyl laced in that. But other than weed, yeah, you should be very careful about what you're doing because it's a minefield out there. It's a minefield out there. John Coleman saying, heck, BAMC gives it out for free. Yeah, a lot of places give it out for free. Hmm. They do. And it just all depends on where you're at. Yeah, the pills, I guarantee you those pills are all nasty. Those pills are all garbage out there. Ben 31 UK saying hope Nick's not using needles. There's nothing to indicate he's doing that. I mean, when the police did the search, there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of any rigs, and I mean rigs like syringes. There's none of that that's been, burnt spoons, anything like that. None of that's been found. None of that's been found. So I don't think any of that's there. Now, if Nick all of a sudden brings up the idea, well, maybe somebody's injecting it. It's like, okay, well, now you're giving it away. But no, I don't think there's any of that going on. And JC says, do you watch his whole appearance on Chrissy's show? No, I watched the clips. I had other things that I was doing that were a lot more fun. Mr. Potato, what are you saying here? Or you just get unlucky and get something hotter than intended, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, you're not looking for that fentanyl, but you end up taking a bump of coke and it's like, yeah, it's a little spicier than the other ones, and it's getting mixed up by some guy in a building somewhere, and he's pouring the fentanyl in, and he's sitting there mixing it all up, and it's kind of like when you make something really spicy and you don't like have it fully mixed all the way, and you bite into that little bit of it, and there's a little bit extra pepper or a little bit extra spice there that didn't fully dissipate, and you're just like, whoa. Well, imagine that's fentanyl, and you bust that rail, and you're like, whoa, and you die. Happens very easily. The past year, I've lost 2 clients, and it's been a couple years since that happened, so it's starting to happen again. The sky is a neighborhood for £2 sterling. The King Sterling says the 1.6, the 1,600 people in chat need to buy Kai coin. Yes, yes. Fed poster says Worski thinks he's still using, and I trust him more than Rackets at the moment. Oh, and I mean, and they were making fun of it, and Worski, owned up to it. But yeah, Worski's got addicts. Addicts recognize addicts. Addicts know when the others are. An addict can tell you when another addict's using. They have that radar pinned in. They know. And yeah, that's the thing. If Worski's saying it, I don't have any reason to not believe him. And I'm not saying that to make fun of Worski. Worski's got subject matter experience, man. He could, any type of addict, guy who's a heroin addict will say, like, yeah, that guy's still using. He's like, I know. It's just how it is. You can tell. So I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Garrett says, does Narcan help with the heat allergy? Asking for a lawyer friend. No, it does not help. My cat's name is Karen. Says, if Nick has a script for a stimulant for his narcolepsy, his drug screen wouldn't get flagged unless there was something else in his coke. Are you talking about when he goes to drug test? As long as you have a legal and valid prescription, you can be on things. So, like, I've had a client before. He got charged with a drug possession case, but in the meantime, he was involved in an auto accident and like he broke his jaw, and they had to do like emergency facial surgery on it. And he got a prescription for Percocets. And I just made sure the court was aware that was happening, but we made sure he came into court, he came into probation to check in for pretrial services, and he had to go pee in a cup because he called and his number was that day. He came in and his face was all wired up and he peed in a cup and pissed hot for opiates, but he had a script for it. So JP says 2.0, future Mr. Martin 2.0. What happened to 1.0? Just didn't work out between us. Just didn't work out. She's still alive, I promise. Well, you guys are just chugging along. I'm trying to keep up. Yes, Martin Luther is in hell, is where he belongs. Yes, Captain Streets is sleight of hand pro. Will Nick's drug screen tell if he's abusing his prescription meds? Well, no, it'll just say they're on there. They generally can't tell the use, but if it's, burning through a bottle and he's getting a new script, like they could say, bring in your prescriptions. We want to see how much you're using of them. So if he's got a normal prescription for whatever and he's taking them, once a day, every day, and they're there, but if, he comes in the next week and like half of them are gone, they're going to say, okay, well, that's a problem. Dirk says perks would only ever get me high for an hour. Wow. Man, some of you people out there, like, with the opioids that don't either work, they work very short amount of time or anything like that. Like, there's people out there I know, like, that blows my mind because, like, you give me a Percocet, it works, like, it's pretty good. That sucks for some of you guys, though. Detroit by Dark says, I applied for a job at a bakery and tested positive for poppy seed muffins. You would have to eat a shitload of poppy seeds to piss hot for that. Brad said, is someone going to be covering your trial? Well, if it happens, sure, probably. But I don't have a trial. Did I go? Oh, you guys are talking about 1.0. No. I did not. Well, number one, she's not a potato. She's a very intelligent woman, super smart. So I didn't mash a potato because there's no potato to mash. No, future Mrs. Martin. Oh, I'd say former Mrs. Martin 1.0. No, very intelligent woman, very, very brilliant woman. I would argue probably more intelligent than I am. No, she's alive and well. The last time I heard. And that was probably like a week ago. So I think she's doing fine. 13 says back to the salt mines. Yes. Kyle Cowden says always knew when a new batch hit a whole shitload of ODs. Yeah. Well, no, that's what happens, especially in like the defense community. Like you'll find out like people are OD and it's like new shit's hitting the street. And like when you run into your clients, you're like, hey man, be careful out there. There's some really nasty shit out there. And they already know. They know there's nasty shit out there. And some of them are like, well, that means it's gonna be a monster high. That's how people do it. WG Phil saying, do you see Mr. Beast file a cease and desist? Yeah, that was the dumbest fucking thing he could have done. You hired mate, you hired a pedophile. Your bro was doing shit with kids, man. Come on. Like, stop, take those down. It's like, bro, now everybody knows. Like, it's too late. It's too late. You had your chance. You knew Chris was sketch and you kept him around. So now he could do I'll hire 1,000 lawyers to save my empire. Will it work? Dirk said I used to take 10 to 15 hydro. Jeez. Man, some of you guys. Matt B says, I got prescribed 320 milligrams of Oxy. It's horrible. Oh, oof. And Lortabs are where it's at. I've heard that. I've heard people take those. But I'm like, I can, like, when I hurt my knee and I had to have knee surgery, they had me on Percocet. I think one of them. And I was on it for like a day or two. And then I just started taking the 800 milligram Motrins. And then, like, that was enough to keep the edge off. So I'm on medicinal weed. Well, that's nothing wrong with that. Percocet makes me itchy. I've heard of people like morphine, all those things will make them like freak out and stuff. That sucks too. Let's see here. 2.0 is a damn keeper. Oh, yes, she is. Is 2.0 not intelligent? No. 2.0 is she's very intelligent. That's actually when I came across her, that was like the first thing that caught my eye. So no, 2.0 is an amazing woman. Far better than I deserve, and I'm very lucky for that. I'm very fortunate for that. No, she is stunningly intelligent. Like her intellect is amazing, and then at the same time, she can break balls like the best of them too. Like she can go right back to being super intellectual and super intelligent. She gets mad when I say, but I think she's smarter than I am. I got lucky. I found somebody who's really smart and really funny. Ping says, stop simping. Oh, call her on stream like Review Tech. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. McMaster says, I'm an hour and a half back. Should it be called the Cleveland Guardians Child Welfare Act? No, they're called Indians. And that's a funny thing. Under federal law, the Native Americans are considered Indians. Like we have the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We have the Indian Child Welfare Act. There's laws. It's Indian law. And that's like when you go out west, there's like when you're dealing with issues on the reservations and things like that. There's white man law, then there's Indian law. And depending on who you are and what you're doing, white man law applies to you. And that, when you get in trouble, it's the white man law you're dealing with. And if you from the res, you're dealing with Indian law. I mean, there's depending on the situations, that's literally what they call it. It's very interesting out there how those things work. Unknown Hero says Benadryl knocks me out. I'll pass on harder drugs. I understand. Yeah, I don't blame you. Kyle Cowden says 11 minutes behind. Never had an OD. Grateful for me giving them Narcan. Short half-life too. Have to monitor those folks. Yeah. Yep. Very true. Very true. The res is wonderful. I mean, like reservations can be very, very nice, but like the reses need a lot of work, and they need, you know. I will say it's very interesting that Neil Gorsuch is like the biggest proponent of the Indian tribes, and out of all the Supreme Court justices. And Ariel saying, "Hey, I'm starting my job as an assistant tribal attorney on Monday." Well, congrats to you. And I know you just got done with the bar, so congrats as well. Hope it went well. It's recognized as sovereign entity, yes. Yep. What about 2.0's trial for my murder? Oh, that'll be fun. Just start playing clips of me here on YouTube, and the jury's going to be like, not guilty. He deserved it. So. I'm from the Slapaho tribe. Earl says, I have family who are pure res Indians. Yeah, there's some out there. All right, guys. Oh, yeah, 2.0 would never get caught. She'd be very good about making it work. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for now. Like I said, we'll be back at 9:30. We kind of run the course, but just once again, don't do what Nick does. I mean, that's generally a very good idea. Whatever Nick is doing, don't do that, and you'll probably be okay. But really, when it comes to stuff here in court, don't do what Nick does. Don't think like he does. It's never a good idea. I mean, other than like, yes, breathe oxygen. Okay, I think that's one where he does it. You should do it too. But whatever's Nick doing in a legal setting, you should probably be doing the exact opposite. Shorty Shell says, thanks, Sean. Great stream. Yeah, and like I said, guys, tonight at 9:30, we'll be back. And yeah, I mean, I really can't say can you still piss on graves? No, don't go pissing on graves. Don't go pissing on graves. I don't care if Nick Rekieta tells you to do it. Oh. Steve, why am I so hateful of Nick? Oh, I'm not hateful of Nick. I think Nick needs to get his shit together, and part of helping him is holding him accountable. Like, you have to, scorn and derision are valuable tools. Pointing out somebody's a complete fucking disaster. Just going up to going, oh, it's okay, Bubba. No, that's not how you help somebody right now. Like I said, I still want Nick to pull through this. I hope he can. He definitely can do it. Anybody can get through this. But he's going to have to want to do it. So. Do you grant me the right to steal from all the 7-Elevens in Ohio? No, don't do that. Actually, that would be a lot of 7-Elevens. You'd be busy. Don't do that. So yeah, guys. Yeah, just like I said, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Although, Nick, quit fucking talking in court. Quit talking about your... I'm not going to talk about my case. Then talk about your case. No, stop. Stop talking about your shit. Please. I hope I run into nothing. I you know what? Like, if you quit doing dumb shit and I have nothing to talk about, great. I'd be happy for you. I really would. I really would, Nick. So, figure it out, man. Figure it out. Figure it out. You can do this. But I mean, until then, you know where you'll find us, guys. And yeah, when there's more updates or more things break, we'll be back to cover them. So I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Weapons black.
locksmithing and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rekieta yelled at? Why, yes it was.